How you going, people? I gotta I want to clear up a couple things. This means martial law too, because evidently I wasn't clear enough in the first one, and I'm not sure that I got a couple of comments that I kind of thought was kind of odd. Look, when I said in martial law, I was speaking more from a federal martial law standpoint. If the governor uses the National Guard local guys, and the comments I'm addressing, I'm sorry, a couple people said, you know, you're full of shit, the military's going to take their oath, and they're going, you know, they're not going to violate the Constitution, and what about what they did in New Orleans? Look, I can't find any documentation. If somebody wants to put a link, sometimes when you put a link, it goes into my spam folder, and I gotta approve it. I don't know why. It just sends all links to my approval page. So when I get it, I'll find it, and if it's appropriate, I'll you know, approve the comments so other people can see it. But I didn't find anything where the National Guard in Katrina said we're not going to take the guns. I've heard different stories from different people, and from what I read, I can't really tell what happened out there. But under martial law, when people are given orders, I still think when I said the military is going to follow it, a lot of people were like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. These people, some guy called me some old, you're an old man, it's different now. Let me tell you something. First of all, I don't think I'm that old, but I don't think it's that different either. I still know guys, you know, my nephews are in the military. I still know guys in the military. I still know guys that are connected to the military. I know guys that retired from the military and now are working civilian with the military. So I'm not completely out of touch with the military. I still think active duty military will not say, I ain't following this order. Now, the flip side, and what you people may be referencing in this Katrina, because I think it was National Guard that did Katrina, I'm not sure. National Guard, when they do martial law, they are a little bit more, I don't know if reserved, because of their connection to the community. They're local people, they're not full-time military personnel. They have other jobs and careers and ties to their community normally where they're serving in the National Guard. So they're not what I would consider the military. They are the military, they're the National Guard, but they're not full-time soldiers that are programmed and you know, put in this position to follow orders. Now, quite a few people, I got a couple of hate mail emails, and quite a few people put some comments about, I'm some order following guy, or I think everybody should follow an order. Look, I'm not saying that. I hope people don't follow, but I just don't. I'm a realist, and I think when you plan for something like this, if you run around thinking, oh, if they enact martial law, our guys won't follow it, we'll be safe. That's a failure type attitude in my book. I'm going to plan for the worst, and anything better, I'm going to be happy with. So if I'm planning for martial law, or I'm planning for survival, or I'm planning to stand up against a tyrannical government that's abusing or ignoring the Constitution, I can't go in there with a la-la attitude that the military won't follow orders, they're all patriots, and they won't follow the oath. I think that's a defeatist type attitude. But with that said, if they didn't follow it, great. And again, there's going to be some people that won't. I think it's a very small percentage. You got to realize, when you train with a warrior mindset, and you're constantly training and beat in to kill, attack, seek out, somebody's trying to kill you, you're the enemy, you're serving the government, you know, that's why I don't like too much loyalty to the flag to where you can't burn it. It should be sacred. I don't think it should be sacred. I think common sense and right and wrong should be sacred. I don't think a flag or the government or the office of the presidency, or, you know, I don't think that you ought to hold other things so sacred that there can be no challenge or no disagreement with it. And, I mean, the Constitution, I think, is fairly sacred, but I don't think it's absolute. I don't think you should be mincing words. I think the spirit and intent of the Constitution should be followed. But again, I don't want somebody who's so loyal, and I've met Marines who are just, they're brainwashed into the core. What's their little code? I forgot what their country, God country, core, unit core, God country, something, to where they're very much programmed that, hey, you need to be with your unit. And the Marines I know, they won't talk about another Marine. And you know, their unit, they're all about pride, and that's that conditioning. Same way with the Rangers. The Rangers won't talk about another Ranger. You know, Rangers lead the way. Now, I've worked with the Rangers, I've worked with Special Forces, I've worked with the Marines. That little mouse just came in and said, you little crap. Stinking mouse just snuck in here. Mokey, where you at, boy? There's dinner in here. So, there's a lot of things that, you know, that you need to realize. When you're mentally trained to go out there and kill and do tough missions, there's no room for thinking or agreeing. I can't decide on a mission if I agree with it or I don't agree with it. You have a mission, you have orders, you follow those orders and you complete those missions. And that's just programmed and ingrained into you when you're in a combat force like the Rangers, the Special Forces, the SEALs. I guarantee you the SEALs aren't out there saying, you know what, Bin Laden should get the respect of the Constitution, and he was a citizen, and we got pictures of him meet with the president, so you know what, I don't think we ought to kill him. I think we need to save him when we find him. Their orders were to shoot and kill him. They shot and killed him. I don't care what anybody says. I don't want to hear about he grabbed a gun or something. The orders were to take Bin Laden out. We don't want him coming back. We don't want a trial. We don't want people protesting. We don't want to have to move his body, secure his body, and deal with all the bullshit. Let's kill him when we find him, get rid of him, and we'll be done with him. So I think that was the orders. Nobody's going to say it, but you know, I've been around to where I've seen enough to where I kind of think that's what happened. Now, if you don't think so, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's right or wrong. The key is people are going to follow orders. Military cannot function if the military guys are running around saying, well, does this pass the Constitution? Should I be doing this? You know what? Maybe I should say, I don't think this passes the Constitution, and I'll just run this up the chain and see what my commander, the general, the commanding commandant, whoever it is that's in charge, I'll just keep running up the line until I get to the president, and I'm going to let him know that I don't necessarily agree with this because I don't think it's with the Constitution. If you ain't never been in the military, you may think that shit happens. I'm telling you, it don't happen. And if it does, that person is squashed immediately, relieved of duty, put under investigation for dereliction of duty, questioning orders, failure to follow order. I mean, they would crucify somebody that did that. Now, in a big all-out martial law, citizens against the government, and they're out there slaughtering doing things, there's going to be some people who are morally like, I'm not going to be involved in this, I'm not going to do it. And I think it's going to be your National Guard types who have these ties, who are part of the community. They're not full-time soldiers. It's going to be a whole lot less for the full-time military who are out there, hoorah, get the mission done, follow orders, yes sir, no sir, boom, this is my orders. Because military, I mean, when you're on a military base, you know, the weirdest thing is when you work around nukes. Anybody that's worked around nuclear weapons, man, there is just zero room for thinking. I mean, it's just zero. These are the rules, no exceptions. You cross the line, you get challenged. If you move, you get shot. Deadly force is authorized. I don't care if it's grandma holding a baby. I don't care who it is. If you get by that nuclear weapon, you're getting shot and killed, done, end of story. I don't want to hear about illegal, you shot me because I'm black. Military don't play that shit with nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons and the president are the two things, the two highest priorities in the United States, that when you guard them, it's a no bars deal. You mess around and you get dead fast. So if you want people to start doing, well, you know what, I should question the constitutionality, because if a woman with a child is walking toward a nuclear weapon, I don't think morally I can shoot. Bullshit. That's not your job. If that person gets to a nuclear weapon, stores it, blows it up, does something, creates a diversion for some, you just don't play with nuclear weapons, period. So if you've got people in that mindset just working with nuclear weapons, you've got special teams out there that are in that same mindset. And if you think there's a bunch of military guys who have been programmed to follow orders and get a mission done, and now all of a sudden they're going to go, nah, I don't think so. You know what, General? I don't think I'm going to agree with that. It ain't gonna happen, people. I'm not saying I don't want it to happen. I'm not saying I don't wish it would happen. But I'm telling you the truth, and if you want to hate the messenger, you can go ahead. I mean, if you want to say something constructive, there's some dude on there just saying, you're a fucking piece of shit, no good, blah. And I'm like, dude, say your point, or I'm just going to ban you, because I don't want to turn this on and give it some place for you to write 14 comments about how you hate me and think I'm an asshole. Think I'm an asshole, say what you got to do, but try to make a point and keep the conversation constructive. Martial law, when it's federalized, when the federal government does it, they're going to be using real army people, and they're going to use full-time soldiers, and they're going to bring in some, hardcore guys who know how to, you know what? You don't question orders, you get the mission done, you're part of a team. If you don't do it, you let down the team, you let down your fellow brothers and sisters. You just don't do that. It's just programmed in us. You just don't do it. Now, there's other situations. We used to, if a nuclear weapon went down, or if there was a convoy with nuclear weapons, and it was either had a flat or one of the engines broke down and we had to stop and pull over and there was no federal place, we would set up what's called a national defense area. Now, national defense area is somewhat like martial law, except we're not taking over the courts or anything, we're taking over an area. So a national defense area, let's say one of the U-2 planes crashes. Where it crashes, usually military comes in and we set up a national defense area. That place where the plane crashed becomes federal controlled property, just as if it was a military installation or just as if it was federal property. The property owner has no rights, nobody has any rights. We go in there and secure that area, we set up an inner and outer perimeter, and that area is secure, nobody gets in, period. I don't care if you're the owner, I don't care if your kid's in there and you think they're hurt, I don't care what the reason is. Once that national defense area is set up, it's like getting on a priority A area on a military installation. You're just not getting in. If you're not authorized, you're not getting in. Now, that's not martial law, but it's still a military coming in and taking over an area and taking over private property without a warrant, without anything. Now, again, they gotta have a reason to do that, or they're supposed to have a reason. Plane crashes, nuclear weapon, a missile falls off a plane and lands in somebody's field. We're not just going to leave that out there and go, sir, can we come on your property, go get our missile back? Government ain't going to do that. They're going to say, you know what, that missile, this area is now declared a national defense area. You need to get out of the boundary, you're going to be arrested, and they cordon it off and it's done. It now becomes the military. So people will confuse a national defense area as a martial law when it isn't. Another thing where they talked about martial law was when the Boston bomber happened. They were going house to house and kicking in doors. That was not martial law. They were acting as if it's martial law. They were acting in that key phrase, I told you that morning phrase, public safety, but they were violating the Constitution. It was wrong. And remember I told you on how cops get in the house, there's only 3 ways they get in the house. Warrant, consent, or exigency. They were getting in there on the exigency one. They were saying, to protect you, to find this person who's fleeing, this terrorist, we're coming to your house and searching and you got no right. Now, is that legal? Personally, I say hell no, it's not. You shouldn't have that right. I know it's in my house. The guy ain't in here. You ain't coming in. You think he's in here? Go get a warrant. Justify why you want in my house to a judge, and when he signs a warrant, you come back. And they just said, screw that. We ain't doing that. We got the numbers. We got the guns, and we're going in any house we want for as long as we want to do whatever we want, and we ain't justifying it to nobody. All in the interest of public safety, and they were using the exigency circumstance. I think it was total bullshit. I think people should have denied him entry. I think I would have went to jail before they came to my house. They would have had to take me to jail. But again, people were just like, hey, they got the guns, you know, what can we do? We'll let them do it. So, understanding martial law, what people think is martial law at the state level where they use the National Guard, or martial law at the federal level where they bring in full-time soldiers who are programmed to follow orders, complete the mission. And you know what? You can believe what you want. I kind of wanted to clear that up. I wasn't sure if I was clear enough on that. But hopefully this helps, and hopefully I won't get a bunch of dumbasses coming here just saying, you're a fucking terrorist, you hate America because you want people to follow orders. Whatever, you bunch of idiots.